we've been exploring this idea of California and what it means to be a Californian. And it seems, at least to me anyway, that there's been no time quite like today, quite like the last 14 months anyway, to really dive in and explore this topic. About 20 years ago, I became really obsessed with Dadaism and Futurism when I was in graduate school. The Dadaists and the Futurists and their ideas about the sort of the moment that they were living in and how important that moment was and what they wanted to do in that particular moment. That sense of immediacy was so important to them. And when I was in graduate school, I wrote a lot about Dadaism and Futurism as movements. Last year on election night, very late at night, when the national results came in, and we again saw this great distinction, this very clear distinction between what California seemed to be saying about an inclusive society, what California seemed to be saying about multiculturalism, what California seemed to be saying about democracy itself, versus what a lot of the rest of the country seemed to be saying. I started writing. I started writing, and the piece that I ended up writing was a piece that got a bit of attention. The pro tem of the Senate and I published that piece the next day. And it reminded me a lot of the writings of the Dadaists and the Futurists. What I wrote that night wasn't a manifesto by any means. I wish it had been. It wasn't quite a manifesto, but it did have that sense of immediacy, I think, and that sense of sort of grasping that moment, and also that sense of frustration with the way that things were. For me, what I want to explore tonight with these incredible artists is this moment that we have in California. I don't know that in a society such as ours, we're quite capable of having a movement, or that we've quite discovered what that movement is. But I think it's pretty clear that we're having a moment right now. We're having a California moment when we're all sort of looking at ourselves and realizing that there are forces, some forces outside of ourselves, but certainly some forces within that are converging at this moment. And for me to be able to talk about that with these people is exceptionally exciting.